Thing that we're going to do is select a piece of our artwork from our portfolio, and we're going to take, just for this exercise, we're just going to take a selection. You can either use your rectangular marquee, your lasso tool, or even the quick selection tool. I'm going to just take this quick selection tool here and grab a piece of this artwork just by clicking and dragging around the image. I'm just going to take a section of that just to get a decent cross section, and maybe I want the center of that as well. So I'm going to then copy it, edit, copy, and I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to create a file that's 300 dpi, that's what we want our artwork to be, and I'm going to create an 8 by 10 inch file. And say OK. I'm going to then paste my artwork into the file. All right. And the artwork is a little bit big, so I'm going to edit and transform that to make it a little bit smaller. I'm just using this as an exercise so I can look at different effects using the different Photoshop filters and effect tools. I'm going to move that up into my upper left-hand corner and hit return. Okay, I'm going to also view my rulers, view rulers, and I'm going to see that my artwork is approximately about almost 3 inches in width. I'm going to drag some guidelines here over to the 3-inch mark, and maybe another one over to the 6-inch mark, and I'm going to drag some guidelines going down. What I want to do is I'm making a grid here so that I can paste a few images across my artboard, and then down I want to have at least 6 boxes. That I can actually use to try different things. Alright, so I'm going to duplicate this image by selecting it with the Move tool. I'm going to click on that and then hold down my Option or my Alt key to duplicate it a few times. Okay. If you hold your Shift key down, you'll be getting them exactly aligned. It's not as important to have them perfectly aligned in this exercise. It's just really merely an exercise. I'm going to use my Auto Select button, and you can move them away around however you want. All right, I'm going to zoom in on the first one here, and I'm going to label this one the original so I can refer back to what that original image looks like. I'm going to use my text tool here, and I'm just going to label that original. Okay. And with that piece of artwork selected with my Move tool, I'm going to go I'm going to select actually the next piece of artwork here and go under my filter menu, and I'm going to explore some of these different types of filters. So let's start out with the artistic filters, and if you just click on one of them, I'm going to use the colored pencil, and you can see that the artistic filter menu comes up here. So you have all different options to look at with your artwork, and it gives you a preview if you click on the preview button over there on the right hand side, and you can check out different types of filters from the artistic filter menu. Plastic wrap, smudge stick, rough pastels, poster edges, sponge, underpainting, and watercolor. And for this one, I think I liked let's say I want to do the dry brush effect. Well, maybe the sponge was better. So I actually like the look of this sponge here, and I'm going to be able to change my brush size here if I want. You can see as you change the different settings here, it gives you different definition and smoothness and so on, so you can make your artwork look a little bit different. So we're just looking at enhancing our original artwork by using some of these filters and just changing it, in different ways so that we can explore different types of effects. I actually kind of like that colored pencil effect as well. You can apply more than one filter to a design as well. So I'm going to just say OK, and I'm going to label this one colored pencil. And the reason I'm labeling it is so that if I go back and want to use this on other types of artwork, it just gives me kind of a reference library of what these filters look like. Just move these up a little bit so we can explore different things. So that was the artistic filter. Now I'm going to try a different filter on this one. Let's try blur. You can go through blurs. We've done that blurring in previous assignments, so let's go down to brush strokes here and let's look at sprayed strokes. And you can see what that does. Again, you can change the settings on that to add more or less of the filter, and you can change the spray radius and so on. It really gives you a very, very different look. You have also a stroke direction here, horizontal, left vertical, left diagonal, and so on, so it changes the direction of that stroke. And if I like this, I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to also make note of what filter I used on this one. You also might want to make note of the stroke length that you used and the spray radius if you want to use the exact settings for your enhancement of your original art for the final project. You can do that. And just say OK. And again, I'll just zoom in on that and label it. Okay, and we're just going to go through and do some more filters on the rest of these here. And again, just select the artwork with your Move tool under your filter menu, and let's try some stylizing. Let's try the wind. Let's see what wind looks like. And again, you can see that you can have different settings here, a blast of wind, a staggered. That blast actually kind of gives your artwork like an ECAT kind of feeling to it. And you can do that from the left or from the right, change the direction on it. And you can see what that effect looks like. Again, I'm just going to label it. I'm going to bring this guideline down so that I can line up my text. And just continue there. You can actually look at applying different filters to the same object as well. So you can apply more than one. And again, under my filter menu, let's go to texture. And I'm going to look at the stained glass texture here for this one. You can see that it gives you a very, very interesting kind of a look to it. And again, your cell size, you can make it any kind of cell size you want. And you can change the intensity of the light, so it really kind of is changing the colors of it on it as well. And what the stained glass filter does is it breaks down the colors in your object, and it kind of gives you that stained glass effect. So I'm going to say OK to stained glass, and I'm going to go back in and I'm going to put another filter on this just because I don't want it to look so obvious that I used that stained glass filter. So I'm going to go back under the filter menu, and let's go back in, and you can go to maybe diffusing it. Let's try diffusing that. And OK. let's say, didn't really do very much for me, so let's go under Stylize one more time, and let's see what tiles looks like. I don't like that one either. I'm going to undo that. Under my filter, texture, let's go to Stylize again, and let's see what trace contour looks like. Now that definitely changes the look of my object considerably. And again, it's just a trial and error, just to kind of give you some different ideas and how to change your artwork so that it looks really, really different from your original. I'm going to cancel this because I'm not crazy about that one either, and I'm going to go back in and let's try some sketching on top of this. Let's go to the torn edges. Let's see what that looks like. No, that doesn't look like it's going to see. And water paper. That's kind of interesting. And again, if I want to change my fiber length on that, I can do that. I'm kind of liking the way this is looking. You can change your brightness and your contrast. I like the texture that's happening in there. And it's just a matter of getting the settings to be what you look like, what you want it to look like. So that's that one, and let's try one more. Now this is, I'm just going back here, so that was stained glass and water paper that I used. All right, so I'm going to make a note of that. Okay. Again, just use your move tool. You can move your type around wherever you want it. Just going to bring another guideline down for that. And just to do my last one here, I'm going to actually go into my filter and use the texture for this one. Let's try the mosaic tiles. See what that looks like. That's pretty interesting. It almost gives you like a quilting effect on this, and again, you can change your tile sizes and give it a different look, and your grout width, and you can lighten the grout or darken the grout depending upon what you want to do with that. And I'm going to cancel this and just show you a few other ones here. Again, under my filter, texture, we can go to the texturizer here. And you can see that the texturizer actually adds kind of a fabric effect to your image. And you can change the relief on that, kind of make it look like a tapestry effect. You have different types of textures here. You have canvas, then you have sandstone.